We installed these basketball goals, volleyball system, wall pads, and gym floor in March 2026 at Game Point Athletics in Boerne, Texas. This video will focus on the wall mount hoop at one end of the gym. This goal is made by Gared Sports. It has an LXP 4200 professional steel-framed glass backboard, collegiate breakaway rim, and 4-point wall mount backstop with an offset of about 6 feet from the wall. These goals are available with a wall offset anywhere from 2 feet up to 12 feet. However, with some customizations, you can get closer to or further from the wall. These goals are also available with manual or electric height adjusters to lower and raise the rim. The metal wall girts in this steel building were at heights of about 3 feet, 7 feet, and 11 feet. This didn't provide any connection points for the basketball goal. So we added wall studs and 3/4 inch plywood so that we'd have framing where we needed it. If you're planning a build from the ground up, then add steel framing where it's needed to support your basketball goals. But if you're working in an existing building, then you'll likely need to add some framing to support your goals. On most installations, the support chains will go back to the walls. But since we didn't have wall framing where the chains would have been attached, we opted to run the support chains to the ceiling. The other option would have been to run the chains to the I-beam that was at the top of the wall. But everything was covered in spray foam. It just seemed easier to go up to the ceiling on this project. We attached uni-struts to the roof purlins and then ran the support chains to the uni-struts. The chains are spaced 63 inches apart. The center line of the court is marked on the concrete floor. We then offset 31.5 inches to either side of the center line to mark the locations for the chains. Using a laser, we shot a beam from the mark on the floor up to the unistrut so that we can hang the chains in the right place. With the chains up, we then attach the upper extension arms to the wall and to the chains. A turnbuckle is used between the chain and the extension arm so that the height can be fine-tuned later. Here's a pro tip. When attaching the extension tubes to the brackets that go to each end, do not over-tighten. You want the 1/2-inch hex head bolts and lock nuts to be snug so they don't rattle, but not so tight as to crush the plastic bushings. The lower extension arms go up next. We use a rope, ratchet straps, or bungee cords as slings to hang the lower arms from the upper arms so that they'll be about where we'll need them when we attach the backboard. We run 2x8s across the scissor lift and then use ratchet straps as slings to hang the backboard off the side of the lift. We have straps that were custom made for this purpose, since we install these goals all the time, but a regular pair of 1-inch wide ratchet straps will work just fine. We extend the scissor lift to get the backboard pretty close to where it needs to be. We then tension the ratchet straps to lift the board the final inch or two so it's perfectly aligned with the extension tubes. The backboard is then fastened to the extension tubes with 3/8 carriage bolts. We always get all of the upper carriage bolts in before anyone gets under the backboard to connect the lower extension tubes. I've personally been installing basketball goals since around 2006. I've never dropped a board, and I don't plan to. But to play it safe, I don't let my guys under the board until the upper bolts are in place. Once the extension tubes are attached, it's time to level the board, both along the top and the face of the glass. It's also a good idea to check the height. The top of the backboard should be about 13 feet off the finished floor. The turnbuckles are used to raise or lower each side of the board to get it level and to about the right height. You'll finalize the height adjustment once the rim is installed. Here's another pro tip. Make sure your chains aren't twisted or twisting as you adjust your turnbuckles. The extension tubes are telescoping. This allows you to fine-tune the distance off the wall and get the glass plumb. On this project, the glass was plumb without any additional adjustments. But when it isn't plumb, we slide the lower extension tube either in or out until the face of the glass is absolutely perfectly plumb. The rim is installed after leveling. This is the easiest part. The rim will come with 2 carriage bolts. Insert these through the backboard, and then from the back, add your flat washer, lock washer, and nut. Leave the carriage bolts a little loose. The rim will then slide over the head of the carriage bolt and come to rest at the right place. Tighten the rim nuts on the back of the board and install flange nuts on the lower rim bolts. Here's another pro tip. Do not over-tighten the lower rim bolts. Gently tighten the lower flange nuts, but don't torque them down like you're a teenager trying to impress your girlfriend. With your rim installed, you can check your rim height from the finished floor. If necessary, adjust the turnbuckles to raise or lower the backboard. Don't forget to add the thickness of your gym floor so that your rim height from the concrete is the thickness of your flooring plus 10 feet. The backboard pads bolt on about as easily as the rim. Depending upon the backboard and rim model, you may want to cut a channel in the backboard pad. Most professional installers don't do this, but it's something we do every time so that the bottom part of the rim doesn't push the pad out of position. Another pro tip is to add some thread locker, such as Loctite, to the 8 bolts securing the backboard pad. These bolts tend to loosen over time because they're small and they cannot be torqued down all that much. We're almost finished. The extension tubes get a through bolt to prevent any further sliding in or out. A hole in the outer tube is pre-drilled. We drill through this hole to make a hole passing through the inner tube. A 3/8 hex head bolt then goes in. This is the only other place where we apply thread locker. The last item is the cross bracing that provides lateral stability. Cross bracing does not come with goals that are less than 4 feet from the wall. When installing the cross bracing, we fully tighten the pipe clamps that are closer to the backboard, but we leave the 2 clamps closer to the wall a little loose. I set a laser on the quartz center line down on the concrete and make sure that the center of the backboard is aligned with the center of the court. Then we tighten the remaining cross brace pipe clamps and double check that we're still on center. That's it. This goal's installed. It's ready for play. If you'd like to install wall mount goals in your gym, I offer my customers phone support to answer questions throughout the installation. You can jump over to my website to order the perfect basketball goal for your gym. Links are in the description below. Thanks for watching. God bless.